Greetings, humans. I am Hirik Garok, former archivist of the primary section of the Ussan colony of the Refuge, and soon to be archivist for the swords of Sangheili. I've been ordered to divulge the history of our colony, in the hopes that it will restore the ancient traditions of our ancestors. So without further delay, let's begin. With the ratification of the so-called Writ of Union and the formation of the Covenant in 852 BCE, the War of Beginnings had finally ended. But while the Sangheili gained peace, they were losing the traditions of their forefathers. While many Sangheili were willing to accept the false Covenant religion and become slaves of the Sun Shayum, others saw this as a craven surrender to honorless Nishams who slaughtered thousands of our kin. The great Kaidion Ussa Xellus was among these wise warriors who knew this horrid truth and began to fight for the freedom of the Sangheili, opposed to accepting the Covenant and its corrupted ideals. Ussa publicly announced his descent towards the Empire and warned the citizens of Xellus to not trust the Sun Shayum. In 851 BCE, the Covenant sent attack fighters to the state, and Xellus' keep was razed to the ground. Ussa and several hundred of the state's residents, along with several allied clans, fled the state of Xellus and retreated to the isolated Noari region at Sangheili's southern pole. In order to recruit more allies for his insurgency, Ussa and his mate Ussan traveled to the Sangheili mining colony of Grek. After several failed recruitment attempts in the Grek mines, Ussa and Ussan met the elderly Greka, the colony's namesake. He claimed to know the location of a Forerunner Shield World that Ussa and his followers could use as a place of refuge. Although they were reluctant to trust him, they eventually had Greka take them to the Shield World. Upon discovering the world and confirming its habitability, the group returned to Noari. When he returned to his father's encampment, Ussa announced his intentions of relocating to a place of refuge. While the rebels prepared to pack their supplies, Ussa was attacked by a Covenant spy that had hidden among his own ranks. And before the spy could harm the Kaidion, he was disarmed by the steadfast Arnika, the Scar Maker, Ussa's second in command. Then a mob of 10 furious Sangheili converged on the spy and tore him apart limb by limb. The Sangheili soon finished packing and left for the Shield World. Upon arrival, the rebels started to establish a colony in their new home on the Shield World, now called the Refuge. They were henceforth known as the Ussans, a reference to their great leader. A rough triumvirate was formed between Ussa, Ussan, and Arnika to govern the colony away from prying eyes of the Covenant. Then the monitor of the Shield World, enduring bias, began cooperating with the Ussans in their leadership. Even though the first Ussans adjusted to their new home well, some foolishly doubted Ussa's leadership and conspired against him. But their dreams of rebellion were snuffed out when Ussan loyalists captured them and brought them before the Kaidion to await trial. But one of these traitors, Sales Krolan, escaped and fled the planet, fearing that Krolan might give the Shield World's coordinates to the Covenant. Ussa prepared the Ussans for war. Ussa's fears came true when the Covenant fleet converged on the Refuge, led by Ussa's old enemy, the Prophet of Inner Conviction. With the arrival of the fleet, Ussa attempted a treaty with Conviction. The prophet offered to allow the Ussans to live free on Sangheili if only Ussa and Ussan turned themselves in to face trial and capital punishment. Ussa feared that his people would still be persecuted for their rebellion and refused his offer. As the Covenant began invading the Refuge, Ussa activated the dismantler process of the Shield World. He learned of this unique feature when the Ussans first colonized the Refuge. The Shield World was seemingly destroyed, along with all its inhabitants. In truth, Ussa and his people survived aboard large freighter movers. The Covenant then left the Refuge and haven't returned since. Over the course of the following centuries, our Ussan ancestors continued to inhabit the Refuge. Shortly before Ussa's death, a rogue comet struck the primary section of the Refuge. An enduring bias was deactivated in the incident. Over time, the state of the Refuge began to deteriorate. The Ussans' nutrition systems in the colony had begun to falter, and some of the life support systems were beginning to fail. Some of the colony's protein synthesizers began to malfunction, which caused some Ussans to become infected with blood sickness, a disease that caused violence or hallucinations in those that it afflicted. Rebellions began because of this plague, though they were quickly crushed. Our decline only grew more as the years went by. Then our Kaidion Ussa Xellus died, and his brother Kaidion Ussa Xellus became our new Kaidion. In November of 2552, a Sangheili suffering from blood sickness, who identifies himself as Kinsa, began a new rebellion against Bartol's rule. Several months later, Bartol ordered an attack on an outpost in which Kinsa was held up, but Kinsa was aware of this and captured some of Bartol's men. The Kaidion then established communication with the rebel leader and challenged him to a float-fight duel for lordship of the Refuge. Kinsa reluctantly accepted the offer. Within the same time, our colony was rediscovered by a former Covenant supply ship, Journey's Sustenance. This ship had been in the Ussan system searching for the Refuge for nearly a year following the dissolution of the Covenant. They established contact with some of our brothers, and they agreed to aid the Ussan cause at Bartol Xellus. In Section 5, Bartol battled a legendary Sangheili float fighter and one of Kinsa's most fearsome warriors, Varum Kardec, but was easily unmatched by him. Before Varum could kill the Kaidion, he was killed by enduring bias. When a former Covenant Hirik came aboard the Refuge, he had repaired the monitor, who then proceeded to search for the colony's Kaidion. Then he slew Kinsa and his followers, granting us victory. Soon most of the insurgents had been killed, and Bartol went before our fellow Ussans that had gathered in a plaza of the primary section, while the others were watching from their residences. The Kaidion then gave a speech informing us that, at long last, the tyrannical Covenant Empire had been destroyed, and they all now had access to other worlds. He allowed us the opportunity to leave the Refuge and visit Sangheili. I, along with several Sangheili, readily took advantage of this opportunity to visit the true homeworld of the Sangheili. He also revealed that the blood sickness had been cured by the Hirik and the Monitor, and cures would be passed throughout the colony. Our problems were quickly solved, and with the aid of the Monitor, the fragmented sections of the Refuge joined together into a ring-shaped structure for all Ussans to live in. At long last, we were united once more. Now I serve the Arbiter and his swords of Sangheili, in the hopes that the rest of the Sangheili see the folly of their warmongering ways, and unite as the Ussans have. But only time will tell the future of the Sangheili race. Now, I must be off to continue my studies. May the Forerunner Sun and Moon guide your paths, humans. Hirik Garok out.